We have one more item, Z9, edition number 6.
It's actually
And edition number.
It's item number 9.
Number 9, yeah.
Just
Yeah. So,
Can we summarize that
Yeah,
again?
you want to go
Sure.
ahead and do that?
Again, this is to authorize the county attorney to initiate a charge of unfair labor practice against the Suncoast Professional Firefighters and Paramedics, or the IAFF, for the failure to bargain in good faith. And as you will recall, we've had the discussion. This is, again, related to the union's failure to reject any of the recommendations of the special magistrate with the recent impact process. The reason we're bringing this forward today is because we have a deadline to file this by February 28th. And secondly, we also received Friday a letter from the IAFF union requesting what our intentions were going forward. So it does two things. One is it gives them, as much advanced opportunity as we can give them that under certain conditions we would be, moving forward. I guess under certain conditions we could also be pulling this back. But we certainly keep in play our ability to file this within the time frame. But again, secondly, the fact that they specifically requested what our intentions were through the letter.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's sort of concerning to me is the paragraph, and since we have a deadline to make a decision about this, the paragraph on page 2 which says the union cannot proceed with the ratification vote on this draft language without knowing the county's intentions in this regard. So we're at a stalemate, and if they decide not to go forward or they don't ratify, we're losing our ability to. Commissioner Doherty?
Yes, sir. I'm just concerned that I support moving ahead with this. Filing it, however, I would prefer us waiting to the very last minute. I would like to try to get a dialogue going with the union. This might be the catalyst to move those discussions along. But I guess we have till the 28th to actually file. Is that correct?
Knowlton?
That is correct, Commissioners, but recall that if you want to move forward with this, should we not be able to resolve it, you do not want to, at this point, reopen those discussions, because then you're negotiating and then you lose the ability to impose. There may be a point of entry after we file, and I know it sounds counterintuitive, but that's the way it works. Once you're in litigation, then you, just like in regular litigation, once you're in litigation, you can have an executive session, you can talk about settlement. So it's a process. I know it's a...
it's contrary to my experience,
yes,
that's all.
I know.
Okay. Commissioner Deutsch?
I don't know if you have a motion and second, but I guess we're discussing this. This is a broken system. We all draw upon our background and prior experience, and unfortunately, the system that we have to follow, I feel, is defective. We can't, Ken, I had raised this question a number of times before, we can't go back and open up negotiations because that negates everything that we've done up to this point in time. We have this whole impasse procedure, and in reality, if you look objectively at the impasse procedure, it sort of negates the philosophical purpose of collective bargaining. I find it frustrating. I'm sure we're going to vote for it. And we're tied in by, I guess, state statute. Is that correct, Ms. Knowlton? The state requires the procedure we follow here?
We're correct. We're following the statutory process.
Well, as great as the state of Florida is, I occasionally find something where I think we could make some substantial improvement in it, and this is one of many cases. It's frustrating. And there's a personal feeling, I believe the system inhibits us to be able to negotiate in the pure philosophical way collective bargaining is supposed to operate. And it's very frustrating, and I guess it works well, nothing against attorneys, I guess it works well for the attorneys. I'm not sure how how well this process serves the taxpayer. And unfortunately, our hands are tied with what we have to do. And I can't, I could, but I'm not going to go on and verbalize my frustration that we can't sit down at the table, throw our ideas out, and come to an agreement. I'll share with you folks here and those at home. It's a very, very frustrating experience.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Doherty.
One additional comment, I guess. So to clarify that, the filing as soon as possible is actually advantageous to the opportunity to begin negotiations or discussions with the union. I mean, that's my desire. I want to just be fair with everybody, and that's the bottom line. But I understand if we've got procedural requirements, we need to follow that. But I do desire to have a discussion or discussions with the union as soon as possible, try to work this thing out. I mean, anyways, but if we can't do that until we file, then we need to file.
Right, and I think I think we're probably all on the same page. Yes, Commissioner Truix.
Well, I just want to. I concur with Commissioner Deutsch in frustration. Chapter 447 in labor organizations states throughout this entire process, after the special magistrate holds the hearing and makes decisions, that the recommended decisions shall be discussed by the parties, and each recommendation of the special magistrate shall be deemed approved by both parties unless specifically rejected by either party by written notice filed with the Commission within 20 days after the date the party received the special magistrate's recommended decision. And part of my frustration is that didn't happen. And not being on the board at the time, not being able to really express some of my issues, I would have liked to have seen the union representative, the attorney, actually handle that differently with the county. You know, I understand that they're doing what they're supposed to do and representing their members, and I get that. But it does get frustrating when you can't sit down across the table from somebody and come to a decision, and I'm not used to that. So, you know, it's a process that it is frustrating. It's kind of hard to understand sometimes. Reading the statute now gives me better explanation than what I had before, or understanding than what I had before. And I wish we weren't at this point, to be very honest. But we are, and we need to move through the process and get it over with so we can get on with our lives. And I know we're going to have another step after this one and another step after that one and so on and so forth, but we've got to get through the process, and we're in an unfortunate place right now, but we've got to get through it.
Commissioner Doyle.
Yeah, just a postscript on that. Put this whole thing in perspective. We're discussing a contract that, when it's finalized, will expire last September 30th. So just so we all understand, once we're through with this, and it could take 6 or 9 months, I'm told, down the road, we still have a contract that already would have expired over a year ago. The process is flawed. It's unfortunate. It's frustrating. And I don't think we have a choice on what we can do here, but it's really too bad. It's frustrating and very disappointing. And most folks, unless you deal with it the way we've had to for the last several months and years, don't appreciate that our hands are tied to a large degree as we go through this process, which the state requires. And I've said enough. I'm sorry.
Okay, Commissioners, I need a motion on the table.
I'll make the motion to authorize the county attorney to initiate a charge of unfair labor practice against the Suncoast Professional Firefighters and Paramedics Local 2546 of the International Association of Firefighters, AFL-CIO, for failure to bargain in good faith as required by Chapter 447 of the Florida statutes. The charge of the ULP stems from the union's failure to reject any recommendation of the special magistrate within the recent impasse process in bad faith and with the knowledge and intent to and for the purpose of removing those subjects from the Board of County Commissioners review in order to divest the Board of County Commissioners of its authority to fully and finally resolve the issues at impasse between the county and the IAFF. statutory time period within which this charge of ULP must be filed ends on or about February 28, 2013.
Second.
We have a motion and second on the table. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye. I'm making a statement.
Okay. Show Commissioner Deutsch in opposition.